that sounds good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to RbD's Workout Wednesdays, a weekly show designed to deliver bite-sized training sessions that equip and empower you with practical tools to unlock and unblock your path to success. Our show features industry experts from our other weekly show, Rev Shots. We're showcasing real-world tactics and strategies that work. Tune in to make your numbers, retain your team, and delight your customers. Follow me on LinkedIn or join our mailing list to stay updated on our latest speakers and episodes. Let's move forward together, one Wednesday at a time. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 15 of Revenue by Design's Workout Wednesday, practical tips to get you moving. And I'm really excited to have Dave and Josh with us from Citrin Cooperman. They were on our Rev Shots show April 11th. That would be episode number 61. And here we are on Workout Wednesday, episode number 15. And of course, we are diving into one of their offerings that is on fire right now. One, because it's working very well, and two, because of course it is centering around organizations' use of AI in a strategic way. So Dave and Josh, thank you so much for joining us again on Workout Wednesday. I'm really excited to dive into this workshop that you're offering. As a refresher, before we do that, please introduce yourselves again really quick.
Yeah, hi, Dan. Yeah, great to be with you again here. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dave Stone, a senior business development executive at Citrin Cooperman. So we're in the, Josh and I both are in the digital services part of Citrin Cooperman, which is really the technical implementation arm and involves things like Microsoft and Copilot and ERP and CRM and some things like that as well. So pleasure to be with you here. And Josh, I'll turn it over to you for an intro.
Yep, my name's Josh King. I'm the director of our modern work practice here at Citrin Cooperman, and my group handles pretty much everything that you use every day. So SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, the Power Platform, and of course Copilot. So I'm excited to be back with the group here and discussing kind of what we do in a little bit more detail.
Lovely. I love it. Thank you so much for joining. I love what your organization does. We'll make sure we repost the link for the Rev Shots show as well. And with that, let's dive in. So Dave, walk us through this case study.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, for those that did see the initial one about AI and Copilot, we talked about a workshop that really helps people get started in AI and in particular Copilot, and helps them talk about things like security and are they ready and what are the best use cases and a roadmap to actually get started. So as a result of that, the workshop that we'll talk about in just a moment, the specifics of that, produced in this case an outcome here with a case study that I'm going to turn over to Josh to talk about. But in this particular case, we'll talk a little bit about the challenges and kind of what we offered them and what the real results have been. So Josh, if you want to dig into those details, I think that'll be great for people to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So this case study is around a large apparel company that wanted to dive headfirst into Copilot. And this was earlier last year, so right when Copilot was coming out and still kind of gaining its traction. They were looking for a way to leverage AI. They knew that their people were using AI in some fashion, and they wanted to leverage their Microsoft stack to use Copilot for this piece. A couple of the pieces kind of to call out. So this was we offer a workshop. This was kind of a workshop plus with a lot of extra discovery sessions around use cases and how best they can use the tool to really attack their AI journey. So we started out with our normal offering for challenges and looking at their security measures to understand if their environment was completely ready from a technical perspective. We also had launched a pilot program with them to include a number of users, 15 to 20 users within the organization, before we open it up to a larger group, and did some follow-on training monthly with the larger groups around the world for this organization. And our approach really was to really dive in and invest in that time with the people to understand what they do on a day-to-day basis, and then really design the plan for them moving forward to utilize AI. Their marketing team used to have to create these 70 slide deck presentations that would take them days. And Copilot was able to give them the framework and the bones that reduce that to 4 to 5 hours worth of work for a 70-page slide deck. So just from a time-saving perspective, it got them from A to B a whole heck of a lot quicker. And then we created a lot of individualized training pieces for their overall teams. We focused on the app first, so getting them familiar with the app piece of Copilot, and then the biz chat, and then into their use cases of what they're doing as the purchasing group or the operations team, to get them to use and leverage that Copilot journey. The results, I think, were pretty substantial within the organization in time savings. The different groups had different pluses, different minuses, based upon the data that they were looking at. But it comes back to that adoption mechanism. You can't just roll this out and have an organization say, okay, we're just going to dive in. There is a huge organizational change management piece of training your users, getting the users involved in the process, so that when you roll out a tool like Copilot, or really anything that you do within an organization, is really talk to them about why we're doing it, what we're doing it for, and the reasoning behind it, and really train them on this new system or this new way of doing things from a process perspective.
So much ground covered there, Josh. I love everything you were just talking about, because it covered the what, the why, the how. And I think sometimes we forget the why and the how, because it's so easy for us just in general to focus on the what. It's very easy. So I have so many questions. Dave, thoughts, comments, what would you add to what Josh was talking about, if anything?
Yeah, no, I did a lot of ground covered there. You're right. And I think, Josh, maybe back up on one of the segments. I know we were talking with Dion a little bit prior, on things like prompting, right? People don't know how to prompt. I mean, there's an art, it's a science, it's kind of all the above, right? And I know one of the bullets that you have here is really, the thorough testing of prompting. Tell us maybe a little bit about the significance of prompting and how people absorbed that or understood it and got better with it over time, and started out maybe frustrated in the beginning, and then started dialing it in. That might be helpful for people to hear.
Yeah, for sure. And I always start any of our workshops out with, we are all probably expert Googlers. We know how to Google and find information using that search engine, but using AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, they all have a different way of responding to certain questions. So it is really a lot about trial and error. Obviously, Microsoft provides us with the out-of-the-box prompts. Hey, create a presentation based on so-and-so. But that sometimes doesn't get you what you need. So it's really walking through how to talk with that AI engine, Copilot specifically with this, in order for them to get the results back. Starting very broad and then narrowing that can help a lot. But if you know exactly what you're looking for, putting that into the prompt window and then building upon that prompt, it is magical to see, because you really see people start to learn how to interact with the agents to be able to get that information back. But it is super crucial part of our workshop is explaining how to prompt in Copilot, because you can type in certain things and get no results back, and you change 2 or 3 words in your prompt and you have all the information that you're looking for. So it really is it's a science, but it's also an art at the same time.
And Josh, I was going to say, is there have you found that going back to your thought about words, are there some keywords that really help Copilot pull that together, more like summarize versus list versus display versus illustrate? I mean, are there some key things that people would tend to use all the time that might be more powerful than others?
Yeah, summarize is a word that I use almost in every other prompt that I use to gather information. You can also just use simple words like show. So show me the latest trend map for A, B, or C, and that brings up results back that you have access to within the organization. So yeah, summarize is a really good one that I use constantly. But it's also finding what piece of information you're querying about. So if you're trying to get information on an Excel data set, analyze is one of those keywords that you use. Please analyze, rows 1 through 4 by columns 7 through 8, and then it'll spit back the information that you're looking for. But there's definitely some keywords in there for each piece of information that you're trying to glean.
Okay. Yep. And I noticed too that on this particular case study, I know the part of the power of this was also with them improving their use of the Microsoft Office suite, right? I mean, even just Word and PowerPoint and Outlook and more, and having either Copilot, write those summaries for them, as you mentioned, right? Those are the main things and all. But did they find anything else as a side benefit in working with those apps in using Copilot?
Yeah, in the first rollout of Excel, it was somewhat limited. But as Microsoft improved the things that are available in Copilot and Excel, that's really where they were able to attack the benefits of those in-apps Copilots, because they also use large data sets in Excel to look at orders, inventory, distribution centers, store inventory, and to be able to analyze that data within Excel was a big key, because they would literally spend hours and hours and hours trying to color code certain store numbers or inventory levels underneath a certain value, and using Copilot brought that information out almost immediately with their queries to be able to source that information and make informed decisions on what stores needed, item number 4321, and which ones didn't. So the Excel piece was definitely a big crucial part of this as well.
Yeah, those actionable items that came out of that are pretty
big time,
right?
Yep,
they're surfacing them very, very rapidly. So okay, good. Dion, did you have another question there, Dion, or should we?
I want questions, Dave, but please.
Yeah, I know you do. Go ahead. I can just tell one was ready to roll off the tip of your tongue there.
It's okay. So many good things. Go ahead, though. Please continue.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that would help maybe frame this too is if we take a quick look and back up at the workshop itself and how we derived or how we got to that outcome of a successful client and a successful outcome, and in multiple ways. Josh, I thought it might be helpful to really talk about kind of the key things that we do in this workshop to help to get to that point. And sometimes people don't necessarily think of the security aspects around this and the readiness of their organization, and they need a kind of the pump primed, if you will. So the art of the possible in the
Yep.
middle,
Yep.
right? It's like, hey, well, what can it do? I don't know how much I could expect out of it, or
I
how
think
little I
that's
could
the thing,
expect out of
right?
it.
We don't
That's
know.
huge in the middle, and then actually building the plan to get there. What things do I need to put in place? What change management? What training? What software? How do I actually start on this beast? So you might want to just mention a few of these categories that we have listed here and what we do.
Yeah, for sure. So the workshop is made up of three buckets of time. That and that first step is that organizational readiness assessment. It really looks at the technical readiness of the environment. We use Microsoft's baseline surveys to get us the information that we need to see where there are any security gaps in data, any users, any issues from that perspective. And then we develop a plan if there's a need to improve that security score to get us to that point where we can deploy those licenses. Once we're done with that readiness assessment, then we move into that art of the possible, which to me is kind of the most exciting thing, because it really shows everything that Copilot can do. So it is a walkthrough of all of the apps, all of the biz chat. We touch on agents a little bit and Copilot Studio to show that full breadth and depth of what Copilot can do. And then that starts the juices flowing with people of, oh, so I can possibly use it for this. And that leads right into that use case discovery. And whether it's in accounting or operations, people start to think of, okay, I am in this spreadsheet all day long doing the same thing over and over. What can I leverage now Copilot for to make my job easier? And then once we identify those, we go into that build the plan piece, which is really developing that strategic roadmap on implementation of Copilot within the organization and identifying those high value use cases. So we know that there's probably some things within the organization that will take a longer time based upon the size of the organization, but really looking at that low hanging fruit that provides that real intrinsic value right out of the gate, and then gets us to the end of that workshop with that information. And then we present that to the client and say, all right, let's go to the future and start to build out, like in the last case study, that real in-depth training and rollout to the entire organization.
Got it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, I know we were talking about this a little bit before, but execs on this are really looking for payoff, right? I mean, there's got to be a payback in this, and they know that's there, and they know it's here to stay, and it's substantial, some of the gains that people are already achieving on this. But I know IDC just did a recent survey of a few thousand companies, and they found that for every $1 invested produced a $3.50 return, which is pretty significant. Some companies as high as 8 they found, but in general across many different companies, a $1 to $3.50 return, not bad. So very significant.
Dave, is that learning how to use the AI tool set?
I'm sorry?
Is that learning how to use the AI tool set or the AI tools they have already?
That was using and utilizing AI in their organization. Yeah. Tools.
Wow.
So it wasn't a bunch of other things. It was focused very much so on AI.
If you have a link to that paper, study, anything along those lines, I think that would be fantastic to kind of share with everybody as well. I'd love to see it.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. And I think one of the things that makes this fly too is, and I'll back us up to one of the things that we do as an organization. And this wheel kind of has a lot of things in it, from CRM and ERP to IT technology and integration and business intelligence, reporting and all that. But understanding all the aspects of an organization and a company has given us a perspective, right, Josh, in going into an organization, whether it's a sales organization or the warehousing or accounting or whatever. knowing and understanding all the different components of a business and being able to prime the pump with use cases, with examples, and then narrow that down to something that's going to really pay off for that organization or that part of the organization, I think is really significant, rather than just looking at technology as a technology component. It's really all about business, right, and applying it. So I think that's what makes the difference here, is applying business with a tool like AI is very significant.
Yeah, and you don't see, you know, the group that I talked about, the modern work group in this wheel, because modern work really spans all of these components in my mind of bringing the organization together and working more effectively and efficiently. And AI is one of those pieces that allows us to work more efficiently in the things that we do. And you know, in this day and age, it's work smarter, not harder.
100%.
It's being able to do more with less, and leveraging those AI tools and components to better facilitate that. I think what we offer is a step in the right direction to get people to that spot that they're trying to get to. Because AI is not going away. It's just a matter of how do you leverage it within your organization to make your people more successful.
Yeah. And I think just doing this internally, as we go back to the workshop itself, Josh, as we were trying to uncover use cases internally, people were kind of screaming for this, right, on the sales side. It's like, wait a minute, even using AI for summarizing meetings is back to the note taking and the summarizing is substantial, right? You don't necessarily see that, but now you can send out summary notes right after the meeting, and people are like, wow, this is great. And you see the action items, and it's impressive. It's very impressive. It's very professional as well. And I think to be able to pull together presentations using it for that, or to compare others that are going on in a sales environment that you might have displayed in your CRM system, right, is significant, and that are maybe similar to the one you're working on, that could uncover those deals where you could talk with counterparts in the organization to maybe help close business a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker. So all those things, people overlook sometimes some of the things that you can do use this for. And I think sometimes it's focused on, you know, the simple, like presentation notes, to creating documents or rewriting documents or summarizing them. But from a selling perspective, it can really help you do compare and contrast, see what else is out there in industry by searching the web in seconds, right, Josh, and pull that kind of detail back for you. And it's not necessarily maybe 100% of everything you might need, but it's maybe 80%, 70, 80, 90 sometimes, and higher. So it really gives us a head start on being a lot more productive on the sales side as well.
I think one of the things I keep hearing both of you talk about as well with AI is a couple things, and is one, it's not a search engine. And that's what I'm hearing and seeing and talking with folks is, it's not that Google or Bing or any other search engine is going to go away. AI is an answer engine, which if we want the right answer, we need to know how to ask the right question.
Yep.
It's very interactive, right, Josh? I mean, it's very, very interactive, and you can kind of keep dialing in, and as opposed to just doing a bunch of independent searches, refines what you're looking for.
Yeah, I've literally stopped using search for the most part, right? But yeah, I think a lot of folks are going, the more you realize the power of it, the more you're like, the whole search engine thing in some use cases is not a good use of time, but going to my answer engine is a great use of time, right? To your point, it's all about time. So the other question I have for you is when organizations are coming to you and saying yes to this workshop, it sounds like there's two parts. So one is the workshop, and we want to learn how to scale. We want to learn how to get better. We know there's this untapped way to increase everything. Time, talent, and treasure is the first stop with a workshop. Then I also think talking about the change management piece, right? The rollout is really important. So talk a little bit about where people's heads are at when they're coming to you for this workshop, because I think it's important for people to hear, hey, if this is you and you're wondering about X, Y, and Z, this workshop is going to help you gain clarity and an almost 8x return on your investment. So tell us a little about.
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh, I'll start and turn over to you, but I think, I think the things that come out of this, Deanna, the top use cases, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 use cases that come out of these 3 things that we have kind of listed here really help organizations prioritize those use cases where there's the biggest payoff and maybe the shortest time to implement too. I mean, that would be where you would start, right? Josh would be the low-hanging fruit, as we would call it.
Yep.
But identifying those use cases that they probably have an idea that they want to get started in, but they may not. They may uncover like, oh, I didn't even know I could use it for this.
Right.
And surface those and then put the plan together to actually make it happen is really the magic here. So, and Josh, I don't know if you want to add a little color to that. But.
Yeah, and I think depending upon who we're interacting with, whether it's C-suite, whether it's IT, some people are aware that their folks are using AI, and some are not. So the reality of that is you have to say people within your organization are using AI, whether you know about it or not. They're using AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever the case may be. People are leveraging AI for their stuff and using Copilot instead of the open source pieces. It is kind of crucial from a security perspective, because when you're using those other tools and you paste your company's financials in a spreadsheet, it's out in the ether now. So I think looking at those things and being able to query against your own internal organization and know that your data is safe from a CEO or COO perspective, that sets their mind at ease almost immediately, because then they hear that, okay, we're safe. We're not having to worry about stuff about our organization that we don't want shared being shared. So that's that security layer with Microsoft and the enterprise data protection is really a safety net in my mind for organizations to understand and really leverage that their people are going to be safe and responsible with the data that they're putting into the AI tools.
Yeah. I think the governance around that is what you're really talking about, and change management, Deon, to your point, training people and just making them aware. Because most of them aren't even aware that when they do these searches or these queries that data is exposed, and nobody wants that. So making them aware, training, and a little bit of governance around that really help it all start taking shape in a safe way.
To that point, right? The functional foundation of everything, right? It's like, oh, my kid doesn't swear. Oh, yes, they do, right? Like everybody is out there doing something. And if you're not asking, or you're not putting out guidelines, or you're not talking about guidelines and structure and standards of excellence within your organization, especially around AI, people are already doing it. So there's an organization here in Orange County. It's a startup called Mirror, that, to your point, on the open source side can anonymize data, right? But so many times there's this notion of privacy is dead. There's no such thing anymore. But you know what? That doesn't mean we have to keep opening up the kimono, because we're opening up ourselves and our organization and our clients to litigation. And it's just a bad thing at the end of the day. So guidelines, governance, change management. Yes, we can do these things, and we want to run with a pilot to kind of test efficacy. After that, it's what are the ripple effects and the training and the thought process using these new tools, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Lots to be gained.
Oh my goodness gracious. So I love this workshop. Where can people find more information about this workshop?
Yeah, I think the key, just down here, to get started, I've got our contact information here if people want to know more, we can also get that link, that IDC survey, if you will, Dion, just so people can maybe help justify this a little bit more too. Workshops, pretty low cost, pretty hard hitting, just a very short amount of time, and just generally what Josh, 2-3 weeks elapsed time after all is said and done. But they can find out from us directly here, Dion, and we're kind of glad to fill them in. So
I think that sounds great. That was going to be one of my other questions, is how long is the workshop?
Yeah, and I think Josh, I think the discussions are a few hours. The follow-on for us is a few hours. The presentation, the outcomes, a few hours. So I think all told, that spans across that 2 to 3 weeks. But there's not a tremendous amount of hours. It's not a big, ugly process. It's fairly quick, very hard hitting. So
I think that's a beautiful thing, right? The learning how to craft and hone at the end of the day really gives some people the amplification, like you're talking about, is we can reduce creation time of a deck from a week to 4 hours. Fantastic.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. So we still need the deck, but now we can do it in a quality way using a new tool set, or even refining a tool set, quite frankly. I don't think it's all net new. So
exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing with us your workshop today. I think it's hugely beneficial. If you are looking to get your AI strategy harmonized with execution, reach out to Citrin Cooperman, Dave, and Josh specifically, to make sure that you are going in the right direction to give your team the boost they need. All right, everybody, until next time, we appreciate you joining us, and make it a great day.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody.